will his football team in this big moment. And then Brock Purdy, it's such a big deal for him. I mean, life-changing game for him. How does he respond in that moment? Does he kind of answer the call and play as well as Patrick Mahomes?
Stunning. The quarterback is looking forward to seeing the quarterbacks play. Didn't see that one coming. D. Wood, give me something you're fired up about on Friday.
Who's going to own the middle of the field? I thought your Ravens was going to own the middle of the field against Travis Kelce. Now you got to match up again against Fred Warner. Who's going to own the middle of the field? We know that Travis Kelce has been Patrick Mahomes' guy throughout these postseasons. Let's see who wins this battle here.
Proud to get you hurt.
Fred Warner.
So you better double that, man. Proud to get
Fine
you hurt.
defender. How about you, Bartholomew? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking on best. I'm talking about what's a goon to a goblin, Greeny. I want to see my boy Trent Williams, Junkyard Dog versus Chris Jones, certified OG, triple OG. I want to see who's going to win that slug match.
Yeah, there are so many ways in which this game is fascinating, that Kansas City defense, everything else. And what it all adds up to at the end of the day is that the Chiefs are underdogs in this Super Bowl, despite the fact that everyone I've had here all week long is picking them to win. Andy Reid yesterday was asked about being the underdog. Here's what he said.
I understand why we're the underdog. I get that. We had some ups and downs during the season. I never feel like an underdog going into a game, but I understand why it's been situated that way, but it's what it is.
Situated.
Yes.
And you should hear the laughter here. Let me just quickly show you this. They got him right where they want him, right? And Patrick Mahomes, in his career as a betting underdog, is 9-3 outright, not against the spread. He's 9-3 outright, which is the best record by any quarterback in the Super Bowl era. So Mahomes has got him right where he wants him. But I wish you all could have heard it. When Andy Reid said that, when he said, I understand why we're underdogs, immediately Bart just said, lies. Yeah. What does that mean? Why is he lying?
Listen, I know that his commercial when he say, how about those nuggies, was great acting, but that was acting right there, man. Miss me with that, man. You talk about, listen, why put the chip on their shoulder, right? Being disrespected, the repeating champions. They have the experience. They closed the deal. They have the best player on the team, on the field. I think they have the 49ers right where they want them. And more pressure, to me, is on Shanahan and John Lynch and that regime to kind of close the deal and finish the show. Because, listen, you love that beautiful quarterback over there that's $900,000, but, yesterday's price is not going to be today's price from what he's done. Eventually, they're going to have to pay the piper.
It's interesting when you think about it that way, because I did a couple of radio shows yesterday, and people were reminding me, just the conversations brought me back to, like, 4 weeks ago, no one thought the Chiefs were going to be here. The reason they're underdogs, if we watched them play on Christmas, if we watched them lose that game to the Raiders they looked just awful. So the reality is they have flipped the switch, right? Yep. That's why they're the underdogs in this game. Yes?
It's usually when people say, can teams flip a switch, it's rare. I'm very hesitant to say a team can do that. But this team absolutely did that. I mean, a lot of people kind of left the Kansas City Chiefs for dead. Like, oh, look at the road they got to go on. They're going to have to go through Buffalo. They're going to have to go through Baltimore. Well, guess what? They've done all that. That was really the only last remaining question about Patrick Mahomes. We hadn't seen him go on the road the long, hard way. And now they've done it, and they're still the underdog? Mm-hmm. And you don't think that's not going to fire up those guys in that locker room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were underdogs in Buffalo, and they were underdogs in Baltimore. And Tim for us. All right, what does Mr. Mahomes need to do against this San Francisco defense?
Yeah, well, we're going to make it about Mahomes, but I think it's more about the run game.
Okay.
If you play San Francisco, they're a fast flow defense. That's a good thing if you're defense. Guys flying to the football. But you use that against them. Misdirection runs. Here's Detroit a week ago. Well, look at the reaction. Look at Bosa closing from the backside. Look at Fred Warner in the angles that it then creates in the run game. Misdirection runs. Yes, in Bart, but when you get them in space, you get missed tackles. Same thing in this football game. It's a misdirection run. They're going to pull the right tackle. They're going to step down with Laporta. That means Bosa's going to close. A little misdirection in the backfield as well. That gets you good angles at the second level. Look at Fred Warner. He's frozen because of it, which gets you angles to get up to him, which means you got a talented back in a lot of space in a one-on-one environment, and they win it here. If you look at it for the 49ers, they are giving up like 9 yards per carry on perimeter runs. Runs like that are part of the reason why. use something that's a strength, which is flying to the football by the 49ers, against them. I think Kansas City will get to stuff like that.
No, I totally agree with everything that you said. But what I'm looking at is like one of the most expensive lines, especially next year when they have to play Chase Young for giving up the draft equity they gave. I'm looking at the effort. That was disrespectful to the game of football when you look at the effort.
Show the play again. Cindy, if you can roll the play again, and show us what you're talking about.
We got this thing called loafs. Man, these are minuses for everybody. And this is an important game to go to the Super Bowl. This is the type of effort. Let's look at Chase Young on the back. Let's look at the effort that him and Bosa have. Like, if this is the type of effort, this is going to be a field day. This is let's look at this.
Listen,
look at this.
Because they're expecting an inside run and they're trying to spill. Like, I hear you.
I understand all that, but the effort was disrespectful to the game of football. Like, I don't know if I can pay Chase Young. You know, it's one day like he plays like Tarzan, the next play he plays like Jane. Listen, effort can't be an option, right? I got to be able to depend on that all the time. And yeah, you can fast flow, but nobody's doing their job. They're not staying disciplined. They're not staying square. They're not, listen, the effort of this, look at Chase Young. Look at him. Look at him. What the hell is that?
Hey, which is why, that's why, like, if you're Kansas City, what are you doing? Like, that's exactly, you're making them run.
Yes.
What
I'm saying is, like, I hope that the message was sent that this isn't acceptable to be on this team. I'd rather play like Singletary said, I'd rather play with 10 than play with dude that's playing like that.
So it's interesting, D. Wood. I'm glad we took that little side trip there because you're making a point and you're actually, I think, adding to it more than anything else. The reality is the Lions stopped running the ball against San Francisco in the second half for reasons known only to them. If there's one thing Andy Reid has shown this year in particular and recently, they will be patient. Mahomes will stay patient. They know they're not the explosive offense they've been. So maybe this sets up for a big Isaiah Pacheco game.
Oh, that's. I actually said yesterday, I think Isaiah Pacheco could be the MVP. MVP of the game. And people got to understand, Andy Reid is a former offensive lineman. Like, so he understands the line of scrimmage, the running game, all those type of things. And if you go back and look at how the Kansas City Chiefs have operated this postseason, Patrick Mahomes has been a manager. Think about that. He's been a manager. He's been managing this whole offense at a very high level. So I could absolutely see the Kansas City Chiefs grounding and pounding against this San Francisco 49ers defense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the same game plan that you had against Baltimore. Because you look at the San Francisco defense and the personnel is very similar to Baltimore, two outstanding linebackers. And what they did is, if they decide to play zone, they're going to eat you alive. You got to have every single way of doubling Kelce that you can have. You can't allow him to move the chains and sit in zones and be able to just move the sticks and Patrick Mahomes being able to buy time with his legs. I double him with the hole player and the linebacker. I double him with the backside linebacker and the DN chipping off the end. So you got to make sure that you beat him because if you look at, the defense between, San Francisco and the Ravens, they're very similar. I think that Warner and Greenlaw is going to handle Pacheco. Somebody's going to get him an attitude adjustment. I mean, he runs like an alligator, but you got to be able to be physical with him. Kelce is the answer that they're going to have to solve.
Bart says things in the most interesting ways, if anybody have heard. But I'm always fascinated by the chess match of these things. We're going to make all our picks a little later today. We'll all smash helmets and everything else towards the end of the show to make our picks. But I'm always fascinated by, they think we're going to do that. You got 2 weeks, right? So, okay, now they've been watching this tape. They see the same thing that Tim does and the same thing that Bart does. So now all of a sudden, Andy comes out and tries to shake that up a little bit and things wind up going completely the opposite direction. How about the chess match where I'm trying to fool you because I know what you know, what I know you think I'm going to do?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that the thing you can get in trouble with is playing that game too much and getting away from things that you do well. Right? And so I think that, when you look at it that way, and I think that happened to Baltimore last week. Think about Baltimore. They had 6 running back carries.